You have your Chairman Sean, my honorable picks. Honorable Chairman Sean. My picks, just a rundown, some quick things that I couldn't really nominate, but I want to talk about. You have Valentine by Snail Mail. I thought that whole record was fantastic. Nominated her for the best new artist, but never really got to talk about her record. I mean, obviously on the podcast you can look at it. Fantastic record. Now's a long time called Seki, something I listen to all the time. Really, really enjoyed it. You have the Tonight May Have to Last Me All My Life, the Avalanche's song that has the MF Doom remix, which they released on their 20th anniversary of that record. That shit makes me cry. It is so good.
And let's say, like, we usually do a break for Audioface after the Audioface Awards post for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
We will do that as well. But last year we took a interruption from that break because MF Doom passed. And this song felt like the most of a send-off of MF
Oh yeah,
Doom, I
it
think.
really is.
And he's barely even rapping. He's just sort of like poeming, lyricking.
Mhm.
That thing rappers can do when they're just doing spoken word really well.
Yep.
With the backdrop of the Avalanches from this track taken straight out of the 2000s. Really pull out your heartstrings there for Doom fan.
Yep. You have Kid Amnesia by Radiohead. Their combined projects of Kid A and Amnesiac, and then all the B-sides and stuff, the deconstructions of tracks and things, and some unreleased tracks as well. Fantastic. Follow Me Around finally has been released. Really just, I mean, the fucking podcast is named Audioface. Do your research. Sympathy for Life by Parquet Courts. Fantastic record as well.
I really loved it. It was one of those ones that could have made it really closely in any of these award nominations, just because it doesn't make it any less good of an album, but like is what it is.
Really. And 9 by Salt, such a good record too that we both like. Salt is such a good group. They're very unique in their sound, and 9 is a fantastic record coming off of their record 7 of last year and 5
Definitely.
of 19.
I love Salt very much. I really appreciate it. And now that means I can go into Dictator Dan's honorable mentions, the very last part of this. Thank you very much for sticking around this whole Audioface episode, but we're almost to the end. Home by Rye, as we mentioned it early on.
Fantastic record.
Phenomenal record. Really gave indie a run for its money. Made me go like, yeah, it's going to be a good year for indie. And
100%.
Really, I'm going to be really excited to hear more from Rye early on and more features featuring Rye.
Yes.
That's going to be good. Smiling with No Teeth by Genesis Owusu. Like I mentioned, you're doing so much experimentation and so much good execution of that. A lot of political commentary within it that I think is really subversive and really nice. I think it's got ways to go and everything. Punk by Young Thug. I thought, listen, like it was very risky, especially for Young Thug, such a mainstream artist, to do an album like that.
But it was good.
I don't think all of the risks landed that much. Like I said, we didn't make it a rap trap album of the year, but it was such a risk for Young Thug to do, and we knew he had it in him all along. And I've seen enough from Young Thug from his features, honestly.
Yep.
I know he has it in him to really adapt to any kind of artist. He can be the sort of Drake era parent, not in any of the bad things I dislike about Drake, but in the fact that like you are a rapper and a singer kind of pop star person. You can do it all in one and have mainstream arena filling appeal.
Yep.
Promises, which was the Floating Points Pharoah Sanders London Symphony Orchestra thing that a lot of people really loved. We don't, unfortunately, we talked a lot, especially in the early on parts of Audioface, about classical music and bringing that to the masses. It's very hard to do that. But this Floating Points Pharoah Sanders project with London Symphony Orchestra was really, really cool. It's on Spotify. You can listen to it. It's vaguely electronic, but I think the classical aspects of it really kind of take onto it and made it really nice. The Running 2021 VIP mix by Disclosure and featuring Jessie Ware.
One of my favorite house remixes ever.
They
so
finally
released it. Yep.
Yes, I love when you told me about the Disclosure remix. I'm talking about the Disclosure bonus episode that people can listen to about that mix and how good it was. Civilization 2 by Caro Bonito. When friend of the show John Humphreys came on and told us about that band and that whole project, I was really excited seeing it. It was just 3 songs, very interesting songs, blending hyper pop and regular pop music with electronic and alternative. Really cool, well rested. That house song at the end, just phenomenal. I go by Peggy Goo. Speaking of phenomenal electronic and house music, just anything Peggy Goo releases just turns to gold. I can't release for fuller projects from her. Glow On by Turnstile, similarly to 9 by Salt, was one of those very surprising indie releases. I ended up playing it throughout the year and did a lot of things musically. LP by JPEG Mafia.
That's
I'm
good too.
always on the lookout for that album that does the mix of electronic and rap perfectly. And so is friend of the show, Annie, who does
Mhm.
actual friend of the show, who's been on previous episodes of Audioface that we love and check out. Also, who did a lot of the lead for the Audioface redesign that you see. And so the
Yes.
blue color design and background, a lot of Annie's mind inspiration. So we appreciate her for that. But yeah, when we heard LP come out, we're like, oh wow, this is one of those we're getting closer to that moment where someone blends EDM and rap
Yes.
in a really nice way. It's still very experimental. It's still very like out there in a way that only Annie and I can really appreciate, and a lot of others, because JPEG
Mhm.
Mafia's got a lot of appreciation. But overall, it is all good. And then Kenny Beats in general, just like, and I will
Hell of a year.
shout out to my friend Sam for like really mentioning this and like putting Kenny Beats on the map for me. Like Kenny Beats is so versatile as a producer, not only just starting in electronic music and then pivoting more to rap and then working with
Mhm.
a bunch of different rappers in a bunch of different contexts. But when I saw him throw down with the Beachland Ballroom with
Mhm.
Idols and make a modern punk song with like rock elements that felt it felt in ways no different from an Idols song. Like Idols felt very much at home, but pushing Idols forward in a way they couldn't have done on their own. I was like, all right, it's Kenny Beats and it's Metro Boomin right now. Those are
Mhm.
the two producers in the game that like cannot do any wrong. And then there's pretty much like everyone else is catching up to me. And so there's no producer award we have in Audio Face. There's a lot of awards that we could have, but again,
It goes too long.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're trying to. Is this not already the Joe Rogan experience as is? But I want to give Kenny Beats his flowers as is right there.
Yep.
And thank you all for watching this
Yeah.
podcast,
Thank you
giving
so
you your
much.
flowers. Thank you, the audience, for giving us a lot of morale support during this year, giving us a lot of moral support during this year, and taking us through a new year in 2022 where we'll have a lot of new, interesting adventures, bigger
Yes.
adventures. We're going to be reviewing more albums than we ever have next year, and that'll be very, very fun. You'll see what other antics and fun things we do. I'm
Mhm.
really excited to get back to proper bonus episodes.
Yes. There's a couple lined
A
up I
lot
wanna
of
do.
major artists who we've been waiting to release things for that we'll be getting soon. Um, Really, there's just so much that we'll be looking forward to, and I cannot wait for it. Arctic Monkeys, of course, yes. And so this has been the Audioface Awards. You
Woo!
can find us at audioface.show. That's where you can get everything for more bonus content, especially in 2022. You go to join.syndicate23.co. For as little as $5 a month, you can also get bonus things from Power Report and extra bonus stuff from around Syndicate 23, including Dan from the Airnet. And you get to support an worker-owned content company, which is going to be really cool, especially in 2022. I have so many evil schemes for that side of things. Sean can be found, if we trust you, on Twitter and Instagram at SW Suarez. I can be found, whether I trust you or not, at Dan from the Web on Twitter and at Dan from the Web on Instagram. The entire show can be found at Audioface Pod on both platforms. Sean, it's been a year.
It's been a fucking year.
Testing our
That's
podcast
yes.
and this friendship, but thank you
Yes.
very much for doing this with me. Thank you to all the people behind the scenes. Least of which Peter, who has been making this
Yes,
podcast sound
thank you,
better
Peter.
and better as it comes along. Thank you
Fantastic.
very much, Peter. Thank you very much, Dead Music Productions. Check them out if you're a musician, you want your work done. Thank you very much, Sam, for the wonderful set design that's
Yes.
going on behind here. Literally couldn't have made this the most beautiful audio face without you. Thank you so much. Thank you also to Joey McMahon, Cooper Shepard, and Riley Bathauer for their additional support and making this whole setup and design look really nice. Really appreciate their support,
Yes.
emotionally, physically, like everything. And again, you all, so much gratitude for people who bother listening to this podcast, going through every single week. The fact that you all exist after these 5 years really means an incredible amount to me, and can't wait to make more stuff for you in the future. So, how do we end these things usually? Cheers.
Prost.
Usually say toodaloo, but whatever. You get to do whatever you want to. It's your
Yeah, it's
podcast.
a prost. It's German cheese. Toodaloo.